What's up everyone, Godzilla Vs Kong just released, so that means it's time to rank all 4 MonsterVerse movies from worst to best. Real quick, this is just my personal ranking of all 4 MonsterVerse movies, and be sure to share your rankings down below in the comment section, and also leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. So coming in at last place for me at number 4 is unfortunately going to be Godzilla vs Kong. It was hard for me to put this one in last place because I really wanted to like it. Like, the monster clashes in this movie are really awesome, as you expect from a movie like this. Like, Godzilla vs Kong is always going to be a fun concept, and I really enjoy it here. But unfortunately for me, in between the monster fights, the human characters with the plot and everything, just for me, just dragged the movie on. Like, all of the MonsterVerse movies have their separate issues with human characters and the plot and everything, but for me, it was by far the worst and most magnified in this movie. Throughout the movie, I just found myself not caring at all about the human plots that were going on. I just found myself waiting for the next Godzilla vs Kong fight, or whatever the fight would be in the movie. And obviously, when the fights were there, they were awesome. But I couldn't get on board with the plot or the human characters, and that was really unfortunate for this one. And I think that's in part to the nature of the movie Godzilla vs. Kong, where it revolves around 2 monsters who can't talk. This movie should rely heavily on human characters and human arcs, so it's kind of hard to fill in those gaps for a movie like this. So I think that's partially the reason, but overall for me, this movie was a pretty big disappointment. So at number 3 for me is going to be Godzilla King of the Monsters. This is kind of a weird one for me. It has all the usual monster action, and a lot of it at that. Possibly even too much monster action. There's like a million different monsters in this movie, and lots of different fights, and lots of this epic scale monster action. At times, this movie feels like it's constant fan service and constantly just trying to please the audience with all these huge fights. And at times it feels like it doesn't actually care about being an actual movie. Really just cares more about showing these huge fights, and that's it. It just feels like the kind of movie that you go watch in theaters, not necessarily something you watch at the home screen, because it just, deep down, the plot here isn't that great. But with that said, I don't want to go on too much about the human characters. The action in this movie is great. This movie looks great. I enjoy all the fights. Godzilla versus this like 3-headed dragon thing, that's really cool. I enjoyed parts of this movie. This movie did have some mixed messages in there. And overall, I felt like this movie was trying to answer the complaints from the first Godzilla movie, where there wasn't enough Godzilla, enough monster fights. This one has possibly too much. But anyways, it's still an enjoyable movie. I do have fun watching it. It's just, there is some issues here. So just a step above at number 2 is going to be Kong Skull Island. I personally think this one has the best monster action of all 4 of the movies. I just love seeing Kong beat up these weird like monster things on Skull Island. It's really fun. And Kong being more athletic, more flexible, I think makes better fights. There's just so much more you can do with Kong, where Godzilla is more of this kind of like T-Rex monster. He doesn't have a lot of movement. He just has the fire breath and stuff. I think Kong makes for a better makes better action scenes. I'm also a little biased because I'm a huge fan of King Kong. I'm not a super huge fan of Godzilla. I don't have much experience with Godzilla outside of this MonsterVerse, but I really like King Kong. I really like the post-Vietnam War aesthetic in this movie. I think it looks really good, and it really helps this movie feel distinct. This movie also has a really nice like color palette, where everything just vibrant, and I think that adds to the movie, once again making this movie stand out within this universe. With all that said, it has the usual struggles with the human characters and you just not caring about them, but I think the plot in here is actually pretty good. It's just the generic survival story on an island. You can't go wrong with that. You know, the classic like Jurassic Park kind of story, you know, just surviving on an island with these big monsters. You can't go wrong with that plot. So I think that delivers there. At times I felt like this movie used humans dying for like entertainment, kind of like Jurassic World did in 2015, which I also didn't like, which I don't particularly appreciate when they do that. I don't think it makes good entertainment. But overall, this is a pretty good King Kong movie, and I have fun watching it. So easily coming in at number 1 for me is going to be Godzilla from 2014. Of the 4 movies, this is really the only one that I really like. I think this movie does the Godzilla concept very well. I like that it has this more realistic approach on Godzilla. It kind of explores what would humans do, how would humans react to this huge monster and these huge like titans coming to Earth or coming from the underground. I really like that concept. This is the only one that has human characters that I actually like and actually care about. particularly Bryan Cranston's character in the first half of this movie. I really like his arc, as he's kind of the guy who like knows everything. He's trying to warn everyone, but no one will listen to him. So he's kind of right in the end. I really like his character. Bryan Cranston's a tremendous actor, and for me, he just makes the first half of this movie really good. When a lot of people say this movie moves slow, for me, I really like the kind of slow burn aspects of this movie, because it really makes the end of the movie much better when we do get these fights and we do finally see Godzilla get into action. For me personally, in a Godzilla or King Kong movie, I don't need the monster fights to carry the movie forward, as long as there's a good plot, and I think this one did have a good plot. This is the only one in the franchise for me that actually tried to make a good plot and tried to tell a good story about Godzilla or King Kong. It really wanted to I felt like this one was so focused on actually making a good movie. While it didn't necessarily achieve that great status for me, I really appreciate that it tried. It tried to do something unique, and I think it achieved that. The score in this movie is great. The CGI is great. The action at the end is great. I like the human characters. The human characters for me, however, in the second half of the movie when Godzilla's there, it gets a little tedious when it keeps cutting back to them and you just want to watch Godzilla fight. But overall, I really enjoy this movie. Yeah, I like the color palette in this movie where it's kind of gray. It just makes everything, it makes the bright colors look better. I like it. And the ending scene in this movie and the ending fight with Godzilla and the monsters, where Godzilla breathes his blue flames down the monster's throat. That's still easily my favorite scene in the entire franchise. And overall for me, this is just the most constructed and overall just the best movie in this franchise. So I really enjoyed Godzilla from 2014, and it easily comes in at number 1 for me. So that will do it for my ranking of all 4 of the MonsterVerse movies. Be sure to share your ranking down in the comment section and leave a like and subscribe on the video if you enjoyed. And thanks for watching and have a good day.